The kitchen felt warm that evening. Too warm. The soft hiss of oil in the pan mixed with the smell of garlic, onions, and something sweet, maybe cinnamon. He was experimenting again, smiling to himself, acting like a man who had nothing to hide. He stood there barefoot, relaxed, as if life was simple. That should have scared me. I watched him from the doorway for a moment. The way he moved confidently around the kitchen, the way he hummed an old song I used to love, the way he looked so normal. This was the man I trusted. This was the man I married. This was the man who once promised me I'd never have to doubt him. My phone battery died in my hand. Black screen, sudden silence. "Can I check the time?" I asked casually. "Yeah, sure," he replied without even turning around. No hesitation. No fear. That hurt more than if he had panicked. I picked up his phone. It was warm, unlocked, open, a sign of comfort. A sign of confidence. A sign of someone who believed he had covered his tracks well. And then it buzzed. A single vibration. A single sound. A single moment that split my life into before and after. I almost ignored it. I should have ignored it. But curiosity is a quiet poison. The screen lit up. "I miss you." That was it. 3 words. No heart emoji. No joke. No explanation. Just honesty. Raw and careless. The name wasn't saved with anything romantic. Just a coworker. Someone he talked about casually. Someone whose name I had heard too many times paired with phrases like, "She's just from work," and "You're overthinking." My chest tightened. I didn't feel rage. I didn't feel shock. I felt clarity. Suddenly, every late night made sense. Every team dinner. Every moment he turned his phone face down. I glanced up at him. He was still cooking, still stirring, still pretending. He didn't know that his secret was glowing in my hands. My thumb hovered over the screen. This was the moment where most women would confront him. Ask questions. Demand explanations. But something inside me went quiet. I didn't want lies. I wanted the truth to walk through the door on its own feet. So I opened the message. I typed slowly. Carefully. Not angrily. Not emotionally. I replied with just 2 words. "Come over." I stared at the screen after sending it. No shaking. No tears. Just a strange calm, like the silence before a storm accepts itself. I placed the phone back on the counter exactly where it had been. He turned around, smiled, and said, "Dinner's almost ready?" I smiled back. And in that moment, he had no idea that the woman standing in front of him already knew everything. The phone buzzed again. Not loud. Not urgent. Just enough to remind me that the truth was already moving toward us. I didn't reach for it right away. I watched him instead. He tasted the sauce, frowned, added salt, then smiled like a man perfecting something meant to impress. Maybe it was for me. Maybe it was for someone else. Or maybe it was for the version of himself he still pretended to be. I picked up the phone. A typing bubble appeared on the screen. She didn't hesitate. "Are you sure?" 2 simple words, full of hope, full of confidence. She wasn't afraid. That told me everything. I took a slow breath and replied, "Yes." Then, after a pause, long enough to feel intentional, "He's busy." The words sat there, cold and final. I locked the phone and placed it face down on the counter. My heart was beating fast now, but my face stayed calm. I had learned long ago that emotions show up in the eyes before they ever reach the voice. So I lowered my gaze, pretending to fix my sleeve, pretending to be normal. "Can you set the table?" he asked. His voice was gentle, familiar, loving. I nodded and reached for the plates. Each plate felt heavier than the last. As I placed them on the table, memories crowded my mind like uninvited guests. The nights he came home late, smelling like someone else's perfume. The mornings he woke up distant, already elsewhere. The way he stopped asking how my day was, but still expected me to listen to his. I had blamed stress, work pressure, life. Women are taught to excuse first and question later. The phone buzzed again. I didn't need to read it. I already knew. She was coming. I poured wine into 2 glasses, then paused. Something inside me whispered, "No, not 2." I took a 3rd glass from the cabinet and placed it carefully on the table. That's when he noticed. He stared at the extra glass, his eyebrows pulling together slightly. "Are we expecting someone?" he asked, trying to sound casual. I smiled softly, the kind of smile that doesn't reach the eyes. "Maybe," I said. His hand froze midair. For a brief second, fear flickered across his face. Just a crack, but then it disappeared. Years of lying had trained him well. He laughed nervously. "You're acting strange." "So are you," I replied gently. The silence that followed was thick. Not angry, not loud, just heavy. I sat down, folding my hands in my lap, listening to the ticking clock on the wall. Each second felt deliberate, like it was counting down to something inevitable. I realized then that I wasn't waiting to catch him. I was waiting to see him. The real him. The knock at the door hadn't come yet, but it was already echoing in my chest. And suddenly, I understood something clearly. Some betrayals don't hurt because they end love. They hurt because they reveal it was never what we thought it was. I stood up slowly. Not because I was calm, but because sitting still had become unbearable. The kitchen clock ticked louder now, or maybe I was just hearing it for the first time. Every second felt intentional, like it was walking us closer to something no one could stop. "I'll set the candles," I said. He looked at me confused. "Candles? It's not a special occasion." I smiled faintly. Maybe it should be. I lit them one by one. The small flames trembled, then steadied, much like me. Their soft glow filled the room with a false sense of warmth, the kind people mistake for peace. He watched me carefully now. Something had shifted. He could feel it. I returned to the kitchen counter and picked up his phone again. Another message had arrived. "I'm almost there." No hesitation. No shame. I didn't reply this time. Some truths don't need encouragement. I placed the phone down where he could see it. His eyes followed my movement. "What's going on?" he asked quietly. I adjusted the tablecloth, smoothing out wrinkles that didn't matter. "Nothing," I said. "Just making sure everything looks nice." His jaw tightened. I poured the wine next, slowly, deliberately. I let the sound of the liquid filling the glasses stretch out, as if the night itself was holding its breath. 2 glasses filled. Then I reached for the bottle again. His voice cracked. "Why are you pouring a 3rd?" I met his eyes for the first time since the message. "Because honesty," I said softly, "isn't meant to be served in pairs." He opened his mouth, then closed it. For a moment he looked small, not powerful, not confident, just a man trapped inside his own choices. He ran a hand through his hair. "Is this about work?" I almost laughed. Instead, I shook my head gently. This is about home. The silence stretched. He took a step toward me, then stopped, like he was afraid of crossing an invisible line. I can explain, he said quickly. I raised my hand, not angrily, just enough to stop him. Not yet, I said. Let's wait. For what? He whispered. For the truth to arrive. That's when the doorbell rang. A sharp sound. Clear, final. He flinched. I didn't. I walked toward the door calmly, my footsteps steady, my heart loud but controlled. Each step felt like shedding another illusion. Before opening the door, I paused. I looked back at him. His face was pale now, his eyes wide. He already knew. I placed my hand on the handle. Some people say they want the truth. What they really want is comfort. I wanted neither. I wanted clarity. I opened the door. The door creaked softly as it opened. She stood there. Not hesitant, not ashamed, not surprised. She wore confidence like perfume, light, intentional, and meant to linger. Her hair was neatly styled, her coat draped casually over one arm, as if she had arrived at a place she belonged. Her eyes moved past me instantly, straight to him. And in that single glance, I saw it. Recognition, intimacy, history. Oh, she said quietly, her voice catching, not with fear, but with confusion. I thought you said she wouldn't be home. The words landed in the room like shattered glass. Behind me, I felt him freeze. I stepped aside and opened the door wider. Please, I said calmly, gesturing toward the table. Come in. Dinner's ready. She looked at me then, really looked at me, for the first time. Her expression shifted. Not guilt, not apology. Calculation. She was measuring me, comparing, deciding. He finally found his voice. This isn't what it looks like, he said quickly, stepping forward. I smiled. It never is, I replied. She walked in slowly, heels clicking against the floor, each step echoing louder than the last. She stopped near the table, noticing the candles, the plates, the 3 wine glasses. Her eyes narrowed. This wasn't the plan, she said. I met her gaze. No, I answered, but it is the truth. He ran a hand over his face, pacing now, unraveling. Please, he said to me, his voice shaking. Can we talk privately? I shook my head. Everything worth saying, I said, can be said out loud. She crossed her arms. So you read his messages, she said flatly. I nodded. Yes. And you invited me, she continued. Yes. Her lips parted slightly, impressed despite herself. That was bold, she said. No, I replied. That was necessary. The room felt smaller now, like the walls were leaning in, listening. He looked between us, desperate. I was going to end it, he lied. She laughed, a short, bitter sound. No, you weren't, she said. You said you were trapped. He stared at her in shock. I raised an eyebrow. Trapped? I repeated softly. His mouth opened, but no words came. The truth had found its voice. I walked to the table and pulled out a chair. Sit, I said. Both of you. They hesitated. Then, slowly, they obeyed. 3 people sat at one table. 1 marriage. 1 affair. No more pretending. I poured the wine. My hand didn't shake. Let's talk, I said calmly. I think we all deserve honesty, don't you? The candle flames flickered, casting shadows across their faces. And in that light, I finally saw them clearly. For a moment, no one spoke. The 3 of us sat there, surrounded by the soft glow of candlelight and the smell of food that no longer felt warm or inviting. The meal he had cooked with such care now felt like a cruel joke, effort placed in the wrong direction, love misused. I took a sip of wine. They didn't. He stared at his hands as if they belonged to someone else. She watched the door, calculating how quickly she could leave if things turned ugly. I was the only one who seemed present. "So," I said quietly, breaking the silence, "who wants to start telling the truth?" He inhaled sharply. "I can explain." She cut him off. "Don't," she said coldly. "You've explained enough." I turned to her. "How long?" I asked. She hesitated for the first time. Just a second, but it was enough. 8 months, she answered. 8 months. The number echoed in my head like a slow bell. 8 months of shared jokes I wasn't part of. 8 months of touches meant for someone else. 8 months of lies delivered to me gently, so I wouldn't feel the weight of them. I nodded. "And during those 8 months," I continued calmly, "how many times did you come into this house?" She looked around the room. "Twice," she admitted. "When you were visiting your sister." My chest tightened, but I didn't let it show. I turned to him. "Did you ever plan to tell me?" He swallowed hard. "I didn't want to hurt you." I let out a small, breathless laugh. "You didn't want to lose your comfort," I corrected. "There's a difference." His eyes filled with tears. "I was lonely," he said. "You were always busy. We stopped talking." She shifted in her chair. "That's not what you told me," she said sharply. "You said she didn't care anymore." I looked at him again. "So," I asked softly, "which version of me did you sell today?" He broke. His shoulders collapsed inward, his voice cracking as words finally spilled out, apologies tangled with excuses, regret mixed with self-pity. "I never meant for it to go this far," he said. "It just happened." She scoffed. "Affairs don't just happen," she said. "They're chosen." I watched him unravel and felt something unexpected. Not anger. Disappointment. The kind that doesn't scream, it settles. I leaned back in my chair. "Did either of you ever think about me?" I asked quietly. Silence. That answer hurt more than words. I stood up slowly and walked to the counter, my back to them. I needed a moment to breathe, to let the weight of everything land where it belonged. When I turned around, I was calm. "I spent years building a life with you," I said to him, "and you spent 8 months dismantling it in secret." He stood up too, reaching for me. "I'll end it," he pleaded. "Tonight, right now." I stepped back. "You already chose," I said. "I just finally saw it." I turned to her. "And you?" I said gently. "You can stop waiting for him to leave me." Her eyes widened. "He won't," I continued, "because men who lie to keep 2 lives rarely have the courage to live one honestly." The room went quiet again. The candles burned lower. And in that silence, I realized something painful but freeing. The truth hadn't broken me. It had released me. The silence after the truth was heavier than any argument we had ever had. No shouting. No broken plates. Just 3 people sitting with the weight of what could never be undone. I returned to my seat, but I no longer felt like part of the table. I felt like an observer, someone who had already stepped outside the life she once lived and was now watching it end. He was still standing. "I'll fix this," he said desperately. "I'll change. I'll quit my job. I'll block her. I'll do whatever you want." His words came too quickly, stacked on top of each other like a collapsing wall. I looked at him carefully. This was the man I had loved. This was also the man who had learned to beg only when he was caught. "You're offering solutions," I said quietly, "to a problem you created on purpose." She shifted uncomfortably. "I didn't mean to destroy anything," she said suddenly. "He told me you were basically roommates." I turned to her slowly. "And you never wondered why he never left?" I asked. She opened her mouth, then closed it. Because she knew. People don't believe lies. They accept them. I reached for my wedding ring. The small circle of gold caught the candlelight, reflecting years of promises that no longer had meaning. He noticed immediately. "No," he whispered. "Please, don't do that." I slid the ring off my finger. "I'm not punishing you," I said calmly. "I'm freeing myself." I placed the ring on the table right between the 3 wine glasses. A quiet, final sound. She stared at it like it was dangerous. "I don't want him like this," she said softly. "I didn't think it would end like this." I met her gaze. "Nothing that starts in secrecy ends in peace," I replied. He fell to his knees. Actually fell. "I love you," he cried. "I swear I do." I felt something break, not inside me but between us. Love that arrives after betrayal isn't love. It's fear of loss. "If you loved me," I said gently, "you wouldn't have needed someone else to feel alive." I stood up. They both looked small now. "I won't compete," I continued. "Not with another woman, not with a fantasy, and not with the version of you that exists only when you're afraid." I walked toward the bedroom, each step steady, my heart pounding but my mind clear. Behind me, I heard him call my name. I didn't turn around. Some endings don't need witnesses. The bedroom felt unfamiliar. Not because it had changed, but because I had. The bed was still neatly made, the pillows arranged the way I liked them. Our wedding photo still sat on the dresser, frozen in a moment where I believed happiness was permanent. I stood there for a long time, just breathing. Every object in the room carried a memory. The lamp we bought during our first apartment, the scarf he gave me on our anniversary, the drawer where I kept letters I never realized were written to a woman who no longer existed. I opened the closet. His clothes hung beside mine, touching, tangled, pretending they belonged together. I pulled out a suitcase. The sound of the zipper breaking the silence felt louder than it should have been. Each click was final, each movement deliberate. I didn't rush. This wasn't an escape. It was a departure. I folded my clothes carefully, not because I cared about wrinkles, but because order was the only thing I could control. With every item I placed inside, I felt lighter, like I was returning pieces of myself I had slowly given away. From the hallway, I could hear him pacing. He kept saying my name, over and over, like repetition could undo choice. "I'll change," he said again. "I swear I'll change." I looked at my reflection in the mirror. My eyes were tired, but clear. "Change doesn't happen when you're afraid," I whispered to myself. "It happens when you're honest." I removed the necklace he gave me years ago and placed it on the dresser next to the photo. Symbols of love only work when love is real. There was a knock at the door. Soft, hesitant. "Please," he said through the wood, "just talk to me." I opened the door slowly. He looked like someone who had lost something valuable, but hadn't realized its worth until it was gone. "I don't hate you," I said calmly. "But I don't recognize you anymore." Tears streamed down his face. "What am I supposed to do without you?" he asked. I picked up my suitcase. "Learn to live with the consequences of your choices," I replied. As I walked down the hallway, she stood near the front door. She wouldn't meet my eyes. "I'm sorry," she whispered. I paused. "I believe you," I said. "But I also believe you knew." Her silence confirmed it. I opened the door. The night air hit my face. Cool, grounding, real. For the first time in months, I felt like I could breathe fully. "Behind me," he called my name one last time. I stopped, but didn't turn around. Some goodbyes are meant to be felt, not seen. I stepped outside and closed the door gently. Not in anger, in certainty. The first night alone was the hardest. Not because I missed him, but because silence has a way of exposing truths we've been avoiding. The room I stayed in was small and unfamiliar. A single lamp, a narrow bed, walls with no memories attached to them. I placed my suitcase in the corner and sat on the edge of the bed, fully dressed, listening to my own breathing. No footsteps, no excuses, no lies, just me. I expected tears to come crashing down all at once, but they didn't. Instead, they arrived slowly, politely, as if even my pain understood that screaming was no longer necessary. I cried for the woman I used to be, the woman who trusted without fear, the woman who believed love alone was enough. Morning came quietly. Sunlight crept through the window like a gentle reminder that life continues, even after disappointment. I made myself tea and watched the steam rise, realizing how long it had been since I did something purely for myself. Days passed, then weeks. People asked questions I didn't have the energy to answer. Some told me I was brave. Others told me I should have fought harder. But they didn't understand. You don't fight for someone who already chose to leave. You simply accept that they arrived before you did. He tried to reach out. Messages, calls, apologies that grew longer with time, as if word count could replace accountability. I read some, ignored others, not out of cruelty, but out of clarity. One evening, I finally replied, "I hope you heal," I wrote, "but I won't be part of the lesson." That was the last message I sent. I heard later that they tried to be together openly. It didn't last. Trust doesn't survive its own betrayal. Love built in secrecy collapses when exposed to daylight. As for me, I changed. Not overnight. Not dramatically. Quietly. I learned to enjoy my own company. I cooked meals that didn't need approval. I slept peacefully without wondering where someone else's heart was wandering. One day, while cleaning my bag, I found my old wedding ring. I held it in my palm for a long time. Then I placed it in a small box, not as a symbol of loss, but as proof of growth. Some lessons are expensive, but they're worth the cost. I realized something important. He didn't destroy me. He revealed me. The woman who walked away that night didn't leave empty-handed. She left with self-respect, boundaries, and a strength she didn't know she had. Now, when my phone buzzes, I don't feel fear. I feel peace. Because love that's real doesn't hide. It doesn't lie. And it never asks you to shrink to survive it. Closing line for the channel. Sometimes the bravest thing a woman can do is walk away quietly and never look back.